Well, Big Phil has spoken to the media ahead of our game against Dundee. Well, apparent game, alleged game, possible game, God only knows, on Wednesday night. Obviously, that was covered by Big Phil in his press conference, in what was another press conference masterclass from the Rangers manager. One thing, before I talk about what he talked about and talk about what, where we're up to with this, one thing that kind of really impresses me more than anything else is no matter what the media do to try and get a quote out of him, to try and catch him out, to try and pull him out, to try and, I don't know, just kind of get him to say something controversial or say something that they can use. He is so clever at getting around it. There was a number of questions today about the state of the pitch. Players been in danger on the pitch. The state of Dundee's pitch, etc., etc. And he was so clever and diplomatic in how he answered it. He is the archetypal manager. He is the correct, the sort of manager you actually want at your club. A manager who will, say the right things and beat that, and obviously maintain that professional image that we expect from a Rangers manager. And Big Phil has certainly done that today. Look, there's plenty of bits and pieces to draw out of this press conference today, and obviously the biggest news that Big Phil talked about in his presser today was around Ridvan Yilmaz. So, look, we saw Dijon Sterling start at left back for the club in the Old Firm on Sunday, but and obviously a lot of us had hoped that Ridvan would have returned by then, but Ridvan obviously missed out through injury. He was asked about Ridvan's availability for this game, and look, even if I think on reflection, even thinking if Ridvan had been available, risking him on that pitch may not have been the best thing. Like I said on the video earlier, if you looked at, and on the podcast as well, if you looked at the state of their pitch, Motherwell versus Dundee, you'd have seen that is a horrific pitch. I did love the joke that Bob put on one of the comments this morning about a farmer taking his cow. His farmer taking his cows to graze on the Dens Park pitch. And cows saying, no, we eat grass, not sand. I did like that quote. That was a very funny quote from Bob this morning. Thanks, Bob, for that one. It certainly made me laugh this morning. Thank you for that. But no, he said in terms of Ridvan is still missing. He is not long-term, but he is not fit for this game. He did joke that when a press member asked, when will he be back? Big Phil said as fast as possible. Now you can kind of take two things from that. One, it was a joke, or two, that he didn't trust Borna at all. But yeah, sort of, it's a matter of days for him. It's not weeks. He will be back very soon. Possibly the Ross County game on Sunday is a realistic option. If not Ross County, then certainly the semi-final against Hearts, which is upcoming. But look, it's not great that Ridvan's missing for Dundee, but I think, Dijon Sterling could continue at left back and do more than an adequate job there against a team like Dundee. Let's face it, Dundee are not going to be in the same league and the same abilities as that lot across the city were on Sunday. Phil, he did reflect quite a lot on the game on Sunday, and I think there was positives, to draw out of that game on Sunday. Yes, I think we all sit back now, and in the cold light of day, we all wanted to win that game. We all wanted the 3 points. We all wanted to lay down the marker. We all wanted to show Celtic that, at the end of the day, it's over for them. We are the new force in Scottish football. But look, it's still all to play for, and yes, they may drop points again. Yes, we may drop points again. And, they're good. They're happy. They're happy where they are. You listen to Callum McGregor, you listen to Brendan Rodgers talk about, where we are at the moment in terms of the championship race. And they're saying, that even with Rangers 2 points clear, the fact that Rangers have got to go to Parkhead, that Celtic are confident that they can turn us over there and go on to win the league. So look, there's that message coming through. But, look, we kind of have to take the positive out of that game, that we played so appallingly badly in that first half that the comeback in the second half, the calibre of the performance in the second half was massively improved. And a 90-minute performance like that second half against Celtic on Sunday at Parkhead, I think would leave Celtic in a lot of trouble. Big Phil talked about the fact that he's a positive person, and he said it was the biggest nightmare that you can have going behind after 22 seconds. And he talked about the fact that, that will automatically give an away team a boost if they get that early goal. And I think it did, the fact that they went ahead, the fact that they got that lead very early did obviously set us back. And it did give Celtic a huge boost, and it knocked the confidence of our squad. And I think that early setback really did affect the first half performance, didn't it? And Phil's right, we did have to fight back. And he said he was not happy about the first half. We had some chances, but our play was not good. He talked about the fact that, Connor probably should have scored from that header, and that Fabio Silva had 2 chances to score as well in the one movement. And we could have easily put 2 goals in, and we could have gone in at 2-2, which probably would have been against the run of play. But, that's fair enough. But he said, that we had to take, we had chances, but he said he was not happy about the first half. He says, he talked about with the players about going in at half time and switching their mindset. He talked about the fact that they need what they were doing, and then what they needed to do better. He said, he said that he pointed this out to the players, and he said that, look, at the end of the day, in the second half, we were the better team. We created the chances. We kept going. We never gave up, even when we went 3-2 down. So, look, on the whole, a very positive performance from Rangers in the second half, and Big Phil seems much happier about the second half display than he does about the first half display. And I think whatever he said to the team at half time, plus the change that he made with bringing on Abdallah Sima, certainly had a very positive effect. He said that, seeing the team fight back and creating chances, you have to be satisfied after the game. We should have done a lot of things better in the first half. We have been working on this, and the most important thing is that we can make the switch at half time. But he did say that, and this I think is a very, very good point. Yes, that first half was awful, and I think it was one of the worst performances we've seen by a Philippe Clement Rangers team. It was genuinely bad. The early goal did massively knock the confidence of our squad. I get that, 100% understand that. But, he said that it does show that there has been a real evolution in the squad in terms of the fact that we did fight back. I do think that a few months ago we would have not been able to make that comeback, which is what Big Phil said. He did say in his press conference days a few months ago we would not have been able to make the comeback. This is the mentality you need to be a top player. And I think that's correct. I honestly feel that we go 2-0 down in the past under the likes of Michael Beale, under the likes of Gio Van Bronckhorst, and some of our other managers back through time, and we don't come back from that. We genuinely do not come back from that. They probably go on to win 3-0, 4-1, something like that. We don't mount that second half comeback. And I think, Philippe Clement needs to take an awful lot of credit out of this. It's his ethos, his message that is getting through to these players and changing the ethos, changing the mentality, changing the whole focus of this team. I mean, this team for a long time, certainly the players like, Goldson, Barisic, Tavernier, Lundstrom, players who've been at the club for an awful long time have been called bottle jobs and serial bottle jobs. And I think that Clement has slowly changed that attitude. He really has. He really has got a more positive thinking attitude now, a more can-do attitude, a more positive mindset amongst the players. And we're seeing that, aren't we, in the caliber of performances. Even when we do go behind, you're not kind of sitting there thinking, well, this is over, this is finished. The best we can do is a drab draw, or we limp along, we try and create some chances and we create a few and we miss a few and then we lose the game. That is not this new Rangers under Clement. And I think it all bodes well for the future in terms of the summer, when he can bring in his own players, his own playing staff, into the players that he wants to bring in and get rid of some of the dead wood, and have that mentality throughout the squad that he's clearly getting now, will bode very well for the future. Now, obviously, the whole subject of the possible postponement of this game, given the yellow weather warning in place for Dundee, was talked about again within this press conference. And Big Phil called it a crazy situation. And he's right. It is an absolutely bonkers mental situation that we are in at this moment in time, that Rangers, who are currently travelling up to Dundee now, staying in a hotel overnight tonight, ready for the game tomorrow, could well travel up there for nothing, that it could all be called off again. Now, it's just a ridiculous situation to be in. He says, we're going to travel, but we don't know for sure if the game is on. He says it's a very bad situation for the league, which is clearly, kind of get across to the Scottish Premier League. what a ridiculous situation this is with Dundee's ground. You know, the fact that 4 games this season have been called off due to their appalling pitch, and the fact that that game against Motherwell on Saturday probably should have been called off, given the state of that field. That field was not fit for football. I mean, it reminds me of parks down here in England. They play park football on it. It was that bad. He talked about the fact that Rangers have been in talks with Dundee and the league. And they want the game to go ahead. He said there's a battle for a top 6. He says that they're battling for the top 6. So if the game goes ahead, it will be a tough test. They will want to win and will push to win. And we'll obviously have to counter that, which is true. Dundee do want to finish top 6. They want to be in the top half. They want to be, you know, post-split in that top 6. They've got Hibs and Motherwell fast on their pace, on their heels. So, look, he's right from that aspect. You know, he talked about that. And he talked about the fact that, you know, if the game is called off, what is the solution? And he says that's not for him to decide. That's for the Scottish FA to make decisions and the SPFL to make decisions. But, you know, look, if the game is called off yet again, I don't think that the game should be replayed. I think that the game should be awarded by a walkover to Rangers. I think it should be. I think it should be a defining moment, and it should be a moment where we send a message to teams in this league that you have to abide by the rules of the league, which the league rules do state. You have to have a pitch that is prepared and of a good standard to host Premiership football. That pitch is not, therefore they need to punish them. They've talked about punishing them, they've done nothing, so it's time to act. And I know the SFA and I know the SPFL are not fit for purpose. I know as a governing body they are appalling. They make the non-league organisations down here south of the border look like the greatest in the world. They really do. But something's got to be done. Something has to be done about this pitch. Big Phil talked about the fact that at the club at the moment there's a lot of competition for places, which is good. That's what you want. You know, iron sharpens iron. 2 dogs, 1 bone. You know, people will fight. The more you've got people fighting for one position, the more you get a raise in standards. If you know that when you go out there on a Saturday or Tuesday or Wednesday, Thursday, Sunday, whenever you go out to play, that the guy behind you wants your jersey and is doing as well as you, you've got to keep your performance levels up. You've got to raise your performance levels. So he says, you know, there will be a lot of fight for places for the starting 11 and on the bench for the game against Dundee, should it go ahead. You know, he said, we've got to obviously find a good solution to get this game played. He says, if it was moved to next week, we could find ourselves in the same situation again if it rains. He says, you know, it seems that whenever it rains in that part of Scotland, we have problems. And it's true. You know, before the last Dundee game, it had rained all over Scotland all over that weekend, and every game in Scotland took place apart from that one game. So what is going wrong there? Clearly some issue with the facilities, clearly some issue with the pitch, drainage, undersoil heating, whatever it is at Dundee, it is not good enough. It is not acceptable. And there has to be a solution. I don't know what the solution is. I've suggested one. I doubt the Scottish League would have the bravery to take that decision, but hey, that's what the situation is. Now, Big Phil talked a little bit about Ryan Jack as well, obviously, who's been missing for a number of games now. And it was kind of a mixed message in this one. And I want to kind of just get your opinions on this, and I'll give you my view on it in a minute. But he said, this is what he said. He said, Ryan Jack, we are looking at other solutions to get him back. It is a long-term calf issue. I don't want to risk bringing him back and causing a further injury. We are looking at long-term solutions. Now, obviously, Ryan is out. So that shows that Ryan is out again. He does have another injury. And as I've said on multiple occasions, I love Ryan Jack. Ryan Jack is a top player. He's been a really good player for the club, and I really do like Ryan. And I've got nothing against him as a man, as a player, as a Rangers guy. He is fab, and I'm not going to slag him off. I'm not going to slaughter him. But he is out way too much. His injury history is absolutely awful. And the fact that, you know, that we're paying him, a big wage and he's sitting in the stands more often than not has to be sort of resolved sooner rather than later. Now, he is out of contract at the end of the season. So if he is out, for me, I think the decision has to be taken now. Has to be that he is not offered a new contract. At the end of this season, we say to Ryan, thank you for all you've done for the club. Best of luck for the future. You know, get him out in front of Ibrox in the last home game of the season just to thank him, because he's obviously done a lot for the club. But he's got to be allowed to leave. He's got to leave now. We cannot have a situation where we give him further contracts, we pay him money, he ends up not playing again, he ends up sitting in the stands. Now, what kind of confuses me is this longer term solution for him. Now, is this Philippe Clement thinking longer term in terms of the fact that he wants Ryan to be in a position where he can go on to another club? Or is this that we're talking about he's going to be offered a new deal, and that's why we're looking at long-term solutions for his fitness? it to me seems a very confusing situation and a confusing comment by Philippe Clement. I know that as a club, you have a duty of care to the players that you have on your squad, on your team. But, is this a kind of dropped hint that Ryan Jack will still be at the club next season? That he's saying it's a longer term solution? Certainly there is not a long term left in this season. What we're on the 9th of April today, the season has not got many games left to run. And the likelihood, obviously, is that Jack will be missing virtually all of those games. And even if he does come back, where's his fitness going to be at? That's the question. So look, what do you take from that comment? I'm a bit confused by it. I really am. I'm going to look into it a little bit more. Danilo apparently is 2 to 3 weeks away from being fit, so it looks like he is pretty much done for the season. He's not even back on the grass training with the team yet, so look, he looks to be done. Even if he comes back, it's going to take him 4 to 6 weeks to get his match fitness back, his match sharpness back. So realistically, it's Dessers, it's Seema, it's Silva until the end of the season now. There is no other options. That is it now, guys. And it does slightly concern me. The chances that Silva misses, the chances that Dessers misses. I mean, Dessers worked hard on Sunday, don't get me wrong. But again, when that crucial chance fell to him at the end, he misses it. Look, it is what it is in terms of that. We've got to obviously have a midfield that chips in and scores goals. The team will obviously now be largely decided, will probably be virtually the same as played against Celtic on Sunday. We'll have the team finished anywhere. I would imagine that Cantwell will come back in for Lawrence, Seema on the right, Matondo on the left, Dessers up top. I would imagine Diamande and Lundstrom, Sterling at left back, Tav. And look, as much as I would love to see it, Suter and Balogun in central defence, because Goldson was fucking awful on Sunday, absolute joke. I do think he'll probably still pick Goldson, even though I think that is a massive, massive error. Well, guys, let me know what you think of what Big Phil's had to say today in the presser. Thank you for watching Glasgow Rangers Nation, guys. Please continue to hit those subs and smash those likes, guys. They help the channel to grow. And on the way out, smash the like. And remember always, we are